The lore, the original pitch deck and concepts for Stranger Things. And the Duffer Brothers were trying to pitch their concept for this show to potential buyers before Netflix ended up purchasing it. They had an entire pitch deck for this show that they were calling Montauk at the time, and I'm about to show you all 30 pages within it. The original concepts of the show would have been set in this cold, windswept beach town of Montauk, New York, instead of Hawkins, Indiana. The general idea here was to create a series with bleak coastal horror, something like Jaws or Close Encounters. And the whole thing was pitched as a one-off limited series that pulls inspiration from the golden age of Stephen King and Steven Spielberg. The entire show was heavily inspired by the real-life events that happened in Montauk, New York, called the Montauk Project. It involves terrors in reality and time travel and monsters escaping alternate dimensions and vanishing children. They said that originally, over the series, the town would slowly deteriorate and just rot into a mass fog, and the food would go bad and people would see visions and everyone would go missing. They wanted this structured like a movie, with the first 3 episodes being about the vanishing of Will Byers. The next 3 episodes in Act 2 would have been about the stakes raising drastically, the haunting of the town happening way more people going missing, and Eleven's bleak backstory. And of course, Act 3, the final 2 episodes would have been about them fixing the terror in reality. The tone of this series was going to be bold and dark and fast, set in the fall of the 1980s in a coastal, eerie, mysterious town. Nostalgic and analog in how it's driven, giving us some more of that energy here with Poltergeist, taking inspiration from H.R. Geiger and Silent Hill and Guillermo del Toro. He wanted to personify the evil that exists in the root of these towns, the human condition, giving us a glimpse of Hellraiser for the next slide. Seems like Lucas specifically has a much different life. His parents were getting a divorce, so that was a big point in his childhood. And they also describe Will Byers as having sexual identity issues even back then in the original concept of the show years and years ago, so this was always the plan. The next slide we get is Stand By Me, so of course they're building that aesthetic of what they want this kids core group to feel like. Next slide is all about Eleven, but they end up calling her the outsider in this show, which is pretty dope. And they include this image from Firestarter here right after it. Same thing with Nancy and Jonathan. We get very similar character descriptions for them in this pitch deck. And then they included this image from A Nightmare on Elm Street with the teenagers here going to school. Hopper's daughter died differently, and it seems like Mr. Clark was written to be a very Indiana Jones inspired character. Terry Ives would have been this weird, creepy, conspiracy theorist obsessed projectionist at a local movie theater. And the next slide they include is this one from Jaws, which is a great scene of the adults coming together. He wanted to jump 10 years in the future after this initial season of television to tell another story set in Montauk in the 90s. Supernatural shit pops up again. The kids all have to return to town now as adults. And yes, of course, this sounds just like It Chapter 2. This would have went crazy. It's so interesting to me that this is the deck that started all of it, this pop culture phenomenon. So what do you prefer, the initial concept for Montauk or Stranger Things, the show we actually got?